welcome to part 2 of the health and damage system. In this video, I'll be covering how to heal the character with instant healing, as well as setting up a passive health regen and custom death for unique characters. I'll also be showing you guys how to set up a very basic health bar to visualize the character's health. If you missed the first video where we set up the base health and damage system, the link will be in the description below. So back in the health and damage component, we want to make sure that we're in the health graph. And I'm going to start off with the heal event, followed by the health regen. So for healing, I'm going to create a custom event, and we're going to call it heal instant. And for this, we want to create one input, which is going to be a float, and we're going to call it healing amount. And all this does is it's going to call adjust health, and we're going to plug in the healing amount into adjustment, and we're going to leave is damage as false. And that's literally all we're going to have for the heal instant event. So we're going to call it heal instant, and that is it. So now we're going to move on to the health regen. So for health regen, we just need 3 custom events. So the first one, we're going to call it health regen stop timer. We're going to make another one, and we're going to call it health regen start timer. And for start timer, we just want to set timer by event. And we're going to drag off from event and create another custom event and call this health regen. So these are our 3 custom events for health regen. Now we want to go ahead and create our 4 variables that we need for health regen. So our first variable is going to be passive regen enabled. And this is going to be a Boolean. And we're going to add another one called health regen amount. This is going to be a float. We're going to add another one, health regen period. And finally, health regen start delay. So these are our 4 variables. So first things first, we're going to plug in health regen period into time. And we're going to set this timer as looping. Now we just want to promote this timer to a variable, and we're going to call it health regen timer. And basically what health regen period is, it's the duration between each tick of healing. So if this is set to 1, it's going to heal the character every 1 second. So we're going to go ahead and set the default values. So passive regen enabled, I'm going to set that as true. Health regen amount, I'm just going to set this as 5, and you can set this to whatever you want. Health regen period, we're going to leave it as 1. And start delay, we're going to leave it as 3. So these are our default values. So now in stop timer, we're going to clear and invalidate timer by handle. And we're just going to plug in this timer. So that is it for the health regen stop timer. And I'm just going to comment it out. Health regen stop timer. And we're also finished with health regen start timer. Okay, so for the health regen event, we can actually use our heal instant that we just made. So we're going to call heal instant. And we're just going to plug in health regen amount into heal instant. And next, we want to add a branch. And we just want to check if our current health is equal to max health. So I'm going to get a reference to current health. I'm going to check if it's equal, and I'm going to add in max health. So if they are equal, we're just pretty much going to stop our timer. So if this is true, we're going to call stop timer, and that is it for health regen. So I'm going to comment it out, health regen. And that is it for health regen. So now that we have the custom event set up, now we want to actually implement this. So to do so, we need to go into the damage graph. All we need to do is we need to call stop timer when the player takes damage. So we're going to call the event just after we make sure that the damage is greater than 0. So stop timer, health regen stop timer. So to actually start health regen, just after checking if the character is dead, we need to add a branch and connect it to false. So obviously the player or character will heal if the character isn't dead. Alright, and the condition for this is going to be passive regen enabled. And we're just going to put this in here. And then we are going to call a retriggerable delay. And the duration is just going to be the start delay. And once this is completed, we're going to call health regen start timer. So now that we've implemented health regen and healing, we can go ahead and start working on adding custom death. Now keep in mind there are probably tons of ways you can achieve this, but for this system I'm going to be using blueprint interfaces. Blueprint interfaces are a really easy way to communicate between different blueprints without casting. They're generally low cost and are really easy to implement. So let's get started. Let's head back into the content browser. And under the blueprint folder, I'm going to right click and create another folder for interfaces. And in this folder, I'm going to right click again, hover over blueprint, and we want to make a blueprint interface. I'm going to call it BPI, short for blueprint interface, death tutorial. And that is going to be our blueprint interface for our death events. Now to add it to a certain blueprint, just open up the blueprint. So in this case, it is our TPC tutorial. And we want to click on the class settings. And you'll see interfaces and implemented interfaces. And all you have to do is just click add and type in the interface that we just created. And that is how we add the interface to our blueprints. So before we start using the blueprint interface in our component, we need to set one more thing up. So back in our content browser, head into interfaces, and we want to create a function. So we're going to call this new function actor killed. And compile and save. And now we're going to head back into the component. And to actually implement our new blueprint interface, we need to head on over to handle death. And this is what we have so far. So to add in functionality with our new interface, we can go ahead and delete the destroy actor. And all we need to do is drag off of owner and check does implement interface. Now we can go ahead and add our interface that we just made. So BPI underscore death tutorial. And we can pass this boolean into a branch. So if our owner implements the interface, we can go ahead and call the function that we just made in the interface, which was actor killed. And you're going to notice that this is a message. And in this case, our target is just the owner. So what we can also do is off of false, if we forget to implement the interface onto new blueprints that we make, we can still just call destroy actor. And then we can add a print message to let us know that we forgot to add the interface. Now to set up the death event, we need to go over to our character blueprint. And here in the My Blueprints tab, you're going to see interfaces. So hit the drop down and you're going to see the function that we made earlier. All we need to do here is double click and it'll create an event for us in the event graph. Now that we have our event for death, you guys can set up whatever custom logic you want. In this case, all I'm going to do is create an explosion and kill the actor. And to do that, I'm going to use the explosion effect in starter content. And if you don't have starter content in your project, all you have to do is click add, head to add feature content pack, click on content, and you can add the starter content from here. So I'm going to be using p_explosion. So all I have to do is spawn emitter at location, and we're going to select p_explosion, and the location we're going to do get actor location, and finally we're going to kill or destroy actor. And now that's everything for the death event. We can go ahead and test it out. So when I press 1 and the player dies, you're going to see the explosion go off. And the great thing about this system is that you only need to set all of this up once. You can drag and drop the health component, implement the death interface, and have a completely different death event for different characters. For example, if you want to add it to a breakable object, you can add logic to spawn loot. If you want to add it to an enemy, you can give the player XP. Now, finally, to set up the health bar, we're going to go ahead and create a widget. So back in tutorial, I'm going to right click here, add a new folder and call it widgets. Double click and I'm going to add a new user interface and widget blueprint. And I'm going to select user widget and I'm going to call it WB_health bar. Go ahead and save, and we're going to open it up. Now all we want to do is add a canvas panel and drag it into the hierarchy. Then we're going to go ahead and add a progress bar for our health bar. Drag it under the canvas panel. Then we're going to go ahead and change the anchor to bottom left. And for the positions, you guys can put whatever you want. These are just some numbers I came up with. So it's going to be 50, -80, 400, and 25. And now if you want, you can change the color, the fill color. I'm just going to set it to something red. And for the percent, some of you are probably used to creating bindings, but for this we're going to create custom events. So to start, we're going to change the name to health bar and make sure this is variable is on. So now we're going to head to graph, compile and save, and we want to create two custom events. So custom event, I'm going to call this update health UI, and create another custom event, update health bar. So here I'm going to add two new variables, two new inputs. They're both going to be floats. So the first one is going to be current health, followed by max health. And the same thing for this event. So current health and max health. Now from update health UI, we can just call update health bar. Compile and save first. Update health bar. Yeah, there we go. So just connect health current to current and max to max. And now for this, get our health bar, call set percent. And then we're going to divide current health by max health. And then we're going to plug this into in percent, and we are good to go for update health bar. So the reason I created another event for update health UI is in case we wanted to add, for example, text. So which we can go ahead and do. So I'm going to add text for our health, and we're just going to place it. We're going to set the anchor to bottom left, and we're just going to place it above our health bar. Set the justification to the right, and we can turn down the size a bit. 20, I think that's good enough. So for the text, we don't really need to worry about what's in here. We're just going to set the name to health text and make sure its variable is on. Now we just want to create another custom event and call this update health text. Once again, this is going to have the same two variables, current health and max health. Compile and save. And now we want to get a reference to our health text and call set text and get this function. Now I would just want to truncate, and this just removes the decimal point from the float. So truncate. So now we have two integers, and now we want to format these two into text. I'm going to right click and add append string. And this is going to go into here. I'm going to add another pin and plug this into C. Add another pin, and this is going to be space HP. And the second one is going to be space / space. And now we can go ahead and plug this into text. So compile and save. And now right after we call update health bar, we want to call update health text. And we can just plug in max health and current health. So now we're done with the widget. We can go back to our character blueprint to add it in. So first things first, we want to create a widget. And we want to set the class to the widget we just created. So WB_health_bar. And for owning player, we want to get player controller. Now we want to promote this to a variable. So health bar widget. And now we want to add it to viewport. So now you're probably wondering why we set up these event dispatchers. So here we're going to actually use the health change dispatcher to update the health bar. So to do that, we need to get a reference to our health and damage component. And we want to get health changed, and we want to assign. So this is going to assign an event to the health changed, and I'm just going to call this on health updated. And I'm just going to plug this in. And for this event, all we want to do is get a reference to our widget and call update health UI. So now to get our current and max health, we need a reference to our component, max health, plug that into max health. We want to get current health and just plug that into current health. So update health UI is only called when our player's health is changed, but we also need to initialize our UI at the start. So to do that, all I'm going to do is copy all this, and then we're going to move this over, and I'm just going to paste. So we're just going to call update health UI before we assign the event. And now we should be good to go. So now we can go ahead and test out in the viewport, and when I hit play, we can see that the health bar and text are correctly set up to our current and max health. And when the player takes damage, we can see that the health bar updates along with the text. And if we wait long enough, we can see that the health regen starts to kick in. Finally, if the player's health reaches 0, we can see that the explosion goes off and the player doesn't regen health. That's all for this video. You can go ahead and add this component to pretty much any actor and alter it using the methods that I mentioned before, with the blueprint interfaces and event dispatchers. And I really hope this helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more tutorials. Take care.